Any beginners are who go into any space is vulnerable, super vulnerable. And it's like, it's important for anybody who's leading anything, any class, any setting of any beginners to understand that we have to open up the space to anyone and have it be safe for anybody to be in there. Because you're allowed to fail. You're allowed to like, be vulnerable.
Look silly.
You're allowed to look silly. You're allowed to feel stiff. You're allowed to feel like too flexible, like all of these feelings, they're allowed to be in the space.
Jayel, thanks for coming on the pod, homie. Great to
Josh,
see you.
Thank you.
It's been way too long.
Yes.
Dude, I'm going to jump right into it. I know on the IG bio you got choreographer, you got dancer, you got actor, all this stuff, but how we met originally is through sneakers and through fashion. What did that even look like? How did we meet? I can't remember, so please tell the audience how we met.
So my first, interaction with you was actually online, I think through your TikToks.
Oh, shit.
It was through your TikToks, and I think you were doing some sneaker reviews that were so like raw and genuine. I was like, yo, I ride with this guy. This guy's so. Can I cuss?
You can cuss, dude.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like, yeah, I fuck with this guy. This guy's actually like, he's dope.
Dang.
And so, obviously, being in Toronto, and we'll get into that, but like, I think we first officially met at the Spadina location at Livestock. And I introduced myself to you.
That's right, dude.
And
yeah,
I said,
this.
hey, you're Josh on TikTok, right? And you were
Damn.
like, yeah. I was like, and then I just like said, what's up? And then I think that was like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
At least.
And I think that's how our first interaction. And I think you were kind of caught off guard.
I think I was with Britt too at the time.
You were with Brett, yeah. And I think you were kind of caught off guard for someone from the shop to like say what's up to you.
Especially at that time on my TikTok, I had quite literally 0 followers. So it was like you're one of my few hundred followers is right.
Yeah.
Right. That was crazy.
Yeah. So that's originally how like we first met, honestly. Yeah. And I think that obviously from there has led to our relationship now. And it's been great always catching up, especially when I'm in town. So
dude, 100%.
It's great.
But you're originally from Winnipeg?
Yes. So originally from Winnipeg, was raised there. I was born in the Philippines, and then we came over off the boat. And so,
how young were you when you moved here?
Oh, young. Like, I probably would say at least 1, 2.
Okay.
I grew up here. Like I was raised here in Canada,
sure.
and then we landed in Winnipeg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tight. But on paper, you were born.
Yeah. On documents are real.
You know, we're not trying to.
I'm here. Yo, I'm legally here, allowed to be here. Don't
not trying to
me
get you in trouble.
I got a passport. I did all the paperwork. We're set. We're here.
Where in the Philippines? In Manila or?
So I was born in Manila, but my family's from Batangas, and so so it's a small province. Good with the food.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, that's where my family is at. But yeah, Philippines and then Canadian all the way through.
And then when you were working, and I met you here at Livestock, you were living in Toronto at the time.
Yes.
Right?
So basically, long story short, I moved from Winnipeg to Toronto to pursue my dreams. It just happened so that I worked at a company that was willing to transfer me over. And so Livestock was able to transfer me over to the Spadina location.
Nice.
In which it's a brand new location that they were looking to obviously expand. So they were willing to accept me with open arms. And then I started to live here fully as a, I guess, Torontonian, to say the least. And it started that way. So I pursued my dreams, and those dreams were to become a dancer, a professional dancer in a city that has a lot of work with dancers. And so I tried to see if I was cut for the job. So I did it.
I actually want to point out real quick for the audience not in Toronto, Livestock is one of the absolute OG sneaker fashion boutiques in the streetwear space. It's I call it one of the holy trinity stores to
agreed.
In the city and Livestock, the new location on Spadina has been open for a few years now, I guess, right?
Yeah. So it's been open for a few years now. Obviously they've been open for almost like a decade now.
Yeah.
But the new space has been open for at least 3-4 years now. Just down, literally next door from the OG spot.
Next door.
Literally next door.
Spadina and Adelaide.
Yeah, and so for anyone who knows what that is, it's not poultry, it's not live animals. Livestock is for sneakers. It's a play on the word dead stock.
Yes.
But it's just assuming that when you purchase something from the shop, it becomes live.
Dude,
So
the amount of times when I was in my early sneaker career, the amount of times that I would go for a drop online and I can't even find the site because I'm like
It's
livestock.ca and I'm like,
that was
where
the
is
joke.
it?
Yeah, that was the thing. So it's a play on for the terminology of being a shoe that's dead stock.
Yes.
You always want to be able to honor the sneaker itself and the culture that you will wear your sneakers. And so the reason why it's called livestock as to this day is because of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to talk about what your current role and position is at Livestock?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, I've been part of the company for the last 3 years, I think, if anything. But now I have since worked with head office. I fully work now with our customer service team and work alongside with the Shopify backend stuff. So yeah.
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so how different is the Winnipeg dance scene to Toronto, especially as somebody that was coming up with it and wanting to expand?
I think I can talk on how Winnipeg is at first, because Winnipeg was different pre-pandemic versus what it is now. So Winnipeg dance scene is filled with at the time hungry and young dancers that is hungry to learn and will always keep an open mind. And so the only thing that we do not have is basically the resources that are available on a daily basis, such as OGs or industry workers, or even just kind of people who are working professionally that come from Winnipeg. There is a handful of people that do that already, but has left. So at the time when I was coming up as a dancer, we'd always have to outsource our resources. So whether if it was flying people from LA to come here and train us, people from Toronto, people from Vancouver, Edmonton, they would always have to come to us, and we would bring them with open arms, and they would teach a workshop. They would just share what they know. And then as Winnipeggers, we would just slowly and little would take bits and pieces of what we've learned from them, and then have created what our community is.
Right.
So we're kind of a little bit like a melting pot of different styles, which is an advantage to us because we kind of just we're just different.
Yeah.
We don't kind of have an identity, not in a bad way, but in a great way where we could blend into a certain community if we were to go there, such as if I were to go to Toronto.
Right.
You can blend in, or you can stick out like a sore thumb at any moment.
Right.
So, and that's an advantage of that.
You can blend in, but also add your own flair, because
100%.
the flair that isn't Toronto.
Right. And people would be like, wait, hold on, that's a little different. So the
100%.
Winnipeg scene is kind of like that, where we kind of take things in bunches, and then we kind of roll with what we have. And then compared to here, I mean, people come here for a reason.
Right.
People come here for the culture. People come here for the foundations. People come here for the industry. So Toronto is like a second home to me, and I've always loved coming to Toronto. And the raw energy that it gave me kind of allowed me to be in a space where I didn't think I would be accepted. And so in a way, Toronto is like Winnipeg, but it just offers a little bit more of this foundation and culture aspect of dance,
right?
Because it's more than just dance at this point.
Yeah,
it's more than just dance now. We're learning
culture.
history. We're learning people's backgrounds. We're learning of so many other things, and so it's very rich.
It's like a more thorough story. As opposed to just the dance.
Yeah, so you're just to me, I feel like I'm just learning more about not only the culture but myself too with it.
Totally.
So it becomes a really nice full circle moment to kind of just hone in of my artistry and being able to do that.
So, how hard was the decision to move from Winnipeg to Toronto?
That's hard. Because I've always wanted to do something like this. I just never knew how.
Okay.
I've always wanted to leave Winnipeg to experience life elsewhere, and everybody dreams of that. Everybody dreams of bigger and better things outside of their current situation. It's always like that.
Of course.
So The actual decision came like super fast. I think I would talked about it too, but it was at a different place. So me and my partner, like before pandemic, I was like being big dreamer me. I was like, I want to go to LA.
Yeah.
You know, I that's where dance is. That's where the industry is. So
Totally.
like, I want to plan to go to LA. But like me saying that out loud, like in the situation we were, was hard.
Oh, for sure.
It's super hard, right?
Yeah.
And like, I guess pandemic kind of brought me back to reality, where I was like, you know what, LA may not be the place, because I would have been like stuck, because I was there for actually quite some time and dancing.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, oh, LA might be the place for me.
Now, did you have an in logistically with like a visa or something that you had planned for?
So, I mean, the answer to that is no, but there was a game plan for me to be able to do that, because with any working visa, you have to prove that you've done work in Canada to kind of just like bring over and say
Transfer
like,
over.
yeah, and
Yeah.
transfer over. And I was doing already kind of like a little bit of artist work in the States.
Okay.
And doing like different programs from like different choreographers while I was there. And when the pandemic hit, I basically was like, we got to go back. I can't go anymore because I would get stuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. So like, I guess coming there, I kind of actually gave up with dance. And so that pandemic was like a sign for me to be like, you know what? I'm probably going off topic here, but I'm probably going to retire from dance. And that was like a really like tough decision to make.
Absolutely.
And so that when the pandemic hit, I was kind of like, damn, I don't think this is for me anymore. Because prior to that, I told my parents, I was like, I'm in university and I wanted to dance, but I was like, give me 1 year of like commitment to this industry, which was me flying, going back and forth and traveling and doing all of these things, dancing. And then if it doesn't work out in that time, I'll go back to school. I'll finish my degree. This is basically what I said. And so, yeah, pandemic hit. I was cut a little early from that game plan. And I just did school remote and then graduated. And then basically like gave my diploma to my parents. I was like, here, I did it. This is for you.
Nice.
Right? So where dance comes back actually was I got casted for a movie that I thought was kind of a joke, because not the movie being a joke, but there was a casting list that was sent out to be like, hey, we're casting for dancers for this film. And this film was called Bring It On. And I obviously know what Bring It On is, right? You know what Bring It On is,
dude,
right?
Of course.
So in my head, I'm like, in Winnipeg? No, there's no way.
Right.
So I'm like, there's no way this is happening. So I kind of just brushed it off.
Sure.
And, left it as be. And I was already planning to do my master's in physiotherapy. I was like, I'm committing to go back to school, because I told you, I had to retire from dance from COVID, because I was like, dream's gone. Like LA was the place to be at for dance, at least at the time when I remember. I was that I need to be there. That's where I need to go. And so anyways, now fast forward, I see this casting list and I was like, okay, like it's due like a Friday night from what I remember. It was like, it's due on Friday. It's Friday today. It's like, it's due at midnight and it's like 11 p.m. I look at the thing and I was like, you know what? Whatever. What could I do? I learned the piece in like 5 minutes. I filmed it and then I did a couple of slate, like my name and where I'm from and stuff, and then sent it at 11:45. So like 15 minutes before it was due.
Damn.
And I submitted that and I just like forgot about it.
Right.
And then like 2 months later, I got called back for it to basically say that I made it.
Crazy.
And then from that film on, basically was like the choreographer, I'll never forget this, Tony G, who is the choreographer for all of them.
Okay.
For all Bring It On. Yeah. Basically has told me, was like, why have you not been doing this already?
Dang.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And this is a time where like my morale was pretty low. Like I was done dancing. I was like, I was clocked out. I was like, yo, I'm gonna live a domestic life and I'm gonna have a career in.
That's a past chapter.
Yeah, like in healthcare of some sort. Like my family and my parents wanted me to do, and I wanted to do too. I was like, this is what I was meant to do. This is it. And no, and then what his words coming out of his mouth was like, why have you not been doing this already? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, clearly you're talented in enough to do this industry. So why haven't you, one, gotten an agent? Two, why haven't you not left Winnipeg? And three, why haven't you just tried? And obviously I told him that I did, and it just wasn't working. It's like, no, you're just looking at it differently. Like, you got to go somewhere where you can thrive. And,
Right.
You know, and so that project essentially got me a little bit notice, and I kind of just like obviously was grateful for that exposure. And through our castmates, like, agencies were reaching out to me, not realizing that I was unrepresented at the time.
Oh, okay.
And so that was like all basically me just taking a chance, like by luck almost.
Yeah.
I kind of always think of luck is a combination of like opportunities and being prepared.
Yeah.
And so like in spite of that, like the opportunity presented itself, and I just happened to be ready at that time. And so when that was the case, when I was unrepresented, a lot of agencies reached out to me, but they were located in Toronto.
Okay. Yeah.
And so to summarize that entire thing, like, it became a hard and easy decision to come to Toronto after all of these things that just kind of lined up to leading in Toronto.
You know what, that is, that makes so much sense. Like,
Yeah.
I think about that a lot with the trajectory of my career, of Brittany's career, and I think about this where, like, from a day-to-day basis, it might seem like, holy crap, what a sick thing that just came across my desk, or like,
Yeah.
what an amazing opportunity that just got handed to me,
Yeah.
or a paycheck or whatever it might be. And then I think that easy decision to have this come across my desk and say yes to it took years of really hard decisions, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how that happens.
And like, how did you feel like when these things came across? Like, you're obviously in a crossroad, and you're like, do I lean into it, or am I comfortable where I am now? Like, how did you find that decision?
I'm right now in a huge chapter of leaning in.
Yeah.
Lean in more as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because I've personally found that only good things come from change.
Yeah.
And all of that discomfort, all of that area outside the comfort zone, that's where growth is.
Yes, 100%. And I learned that through this as well too.
Yes, especially at like a young age.
Yeah,
In
I
your-
mean, I don't think we're not young anymore, but
No, we're still like in our 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, for
you're
sure,
You're not like settling down or like buying your dream home or like having all. You know what I mean? It's a different chapter, right? And you're still figuring things out, and you want to explore and stuff like that.
And that's funny you mentioned that, because like that was the blueprint for where I came from. Like, Winnipeg was a small town that like not a lot of people leave because of how easy it is to settle down. So easy. And like, I feel like it's comfortable because family's doing it, friends are doing it, literally your people are like there. And so for me to go against the grain and you know, taking these chances of like, I gotta go to Toronto for however long I was here was pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was like, but then again, I kept going back to all these little bits and pieces that lined up to why that decision was made. And I think after all of that, like, the kind of one person that really like believed and officially gave me the like, you know what, you should try, was my partner. And so her name's Joyce, and love her to bits. And she, if it wasn't for her to like just say, actually, like, I think you should do it. I'm sad that I don't know when you'll be back, but I think this is good. This will be good. So aside from all of these things that were happening to me, I obviously didn't want to interrupt our life.
Of course.
Because I would basically be leaving our home and for at whatever X period amount of time, and then not be able to to know when I'll be back. And so that was like obviously the one thing that I like was a little bit like worrisome, but to have that support and be able to be like, you know what, like, try and let's see where it goes.
To have your partner give you that reassurance ahead of time is like, that's a magical thing. Yeah,
and it's nice for her because she used to dance. Like, she gets it. Like, we met through dance.
She gets it.
So she understands like this industry is sometimes rewarding, but also very like, you know, kind of scary, because you might not get like a job or two right away.
For sure.
Right. Or you just simply might not be good enough. Like there's so many factors of this industry that like we just don't know. And so she kind of get that high risk, high reward thing. Obviously she has her opinions to be like, I don't think you should do it. But then again, like it's not her.
Yes.
Right. So she understands that like I would have to make that decision to go or not. And I was like really on the fence. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I should do this or not. And so yeah, all of these little steps had led me to like being in this wonderful city that I love to call home.
And then you got here, and was it hit the ground running, or was it how was that start?
Well, moving out of a different city was like already like hit the ground running. Like I had to. Like funny enough, here's a story that actually was like I don't think a lot of people know, but I moved on a Sunday in middle of June, I believe. In the middle of it was a Sunday, middle of June, midday, beautiful day. It was sunny. It was like my energy is up. I have all my stuff, and mind you, I had like maybe like 2 check-ins, my backpack, and my bike box. So I brought my bike with me. So it was basically dismantled everything. You know how you pack a bike? So I had all of that with me, and I was like, I'm ready to like live life. I didn't know that like on a middle of June on Sunday, it was Pride.
Oh my goodness.
And I was living on Yonge Street at the Aura, which is College Park.
Yes.
And that is literally the height of it all.
Epicenter. Yeah.
It was like the way that this all came to, and I love it. It's the funniest story of all time. And I literally was just, you see me like taking my stuff, and I wish I remember my Uber driver's name, but the Uber driver had a hard time getting across from the airport to where I'm living.
Oh yeah,
because like it was just blocked everywhere because of the parade.
Yep.
And that parade was obviously massive. And it was like, it was so comical that I'm literally me fresh off a different province, a city.
Yep.
Going into a different city and just seeing a massive crowd in the middle of where I'm supposed to be. And I have to cross the street.
With all your shit.
With all my shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, how do we do this? Like, I don't understand. So the Uber driver was like, obviously felt bad for me because I had more things than I could handle.
Of course.
So he parked his car illegally somewhere in one of the back roads, and we crossed Yonge Street.
Okay, yeah.
With our stuff.
Wow.
As the parade was going.
Wow.
So I couldn't part the scene and be like, hey, I got some shit. I was like dodging people left and right. And I was like, oh my God, people were naked left and right. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is insane. And I was bringing all my luggages with me. And then I crossed over, and then I basically told my Uber driver, like, just drop my bike just at the front, and I can handle from here. I'm good. Yeah. Like, I just need it from the car crossing, and then just get me to the front of the condo building, and I'm good.
Yes.
And I was like, how could this day go even worse? And I, like, God forbid, he was an angel, and I tipped him basically the ride.
Yeah.
So the amount of however much if it was like a $50, $60 Uber, I just basically paid him $60 tip.
Nice.
I was like, there's no way I just made you sweat off crossing.
Oh yeah, he went
Yonge Street in the middle of Pride Week, in the middle of the Pride Parade.
What a guy, though.
What a guy.
Offer. Yeah.
Yeah, kind soul. And I wish I remembered his name. I probably can go on my Uber transaction and be like, and see, and like date it out and be like, yo, this is him.
That's crazy.
But
5 stars for him.
500%.
Oh yeah.
5 stars. And that was my first day. So hitting the ground running was the definition of my experience here.
Nice.
And yeah, that's kind of what started Toronto for me.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, let's actually rewind with the dance stuff. Like,
yeah.
How did you even get into dance in the first place?
I mean, growing up in a Filipino household, arts has always been a thing. Whether if you're a singer, dancer, or a nurse, like, or play basketball, that's kind of like what we do. And I started off dancing, doing folk dancing, really, really young. And folk dancing was kind of like one thing that was like almost like every kid did back, like traditional like Filipino dancing. Yeah, folk dancing. And
nice.
We have this festival called Folklorama. And so I didn't know this, but I didn't think it was, I thought it was happening all over Canada, but it's just a Winnipeg thing. I had no idea. So Folklorama is like a motif that that celebrates different cultures in 2 weeks in August for the summer. So each culture will have a pavilion that would showcase their culture. So all cultures that you can think of, Japan, you can do like Ethiopian, Brazilian, Filipino, Ukrainian, like all types of cultures would set up essentially a week-long show.
Oh, that's fun.
That you would have dancing, you would have cultural displays, you would have food that was from there, and you can just like basically travel the world in 2 weeks. That was the goal. And so all of us, like, we've always done it. And so I grew up doing folk dancing very young, starting maybe like 5 or 6.
Wow.
Like super young. And then, like, you know, kids on stage, you love it.
Of course.
Entertainment, it's great. So I did that first, and then got a little bit into like technical stuff, like with ballet and doing all these jazz stuff just while doing folk dancing. And then my cousin, who was already dancing hip hop at the time, she wanted to start a small group. The small group was called Synergy, and it's like an OG Winnipeg crew that only some will know where, like, this crew name, but that's how I kind of started dancing.
Okay.
Was that like little glimpse of like transition from folk dancing to hip hop.
And how old were you at this point?
And I was like 7 or 8.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I was like in a crew with my brother, which at the time we both did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then my youngest just didn't give a shit. He was just like, nah, I ain't a dancer, no way. And so started dancing there. And then from there, I kind of fell in love with it. I kind of did it for the sake of that it was just easy learning things for me at the time, because I was just like a hyperactive kid that I just wanted to I hate sucking at things.
Yeah.
So like I just wanted to get better at it, and so we just kept like doing all these things, and I find myself like performing on stage, and I ended up liking it a lot. So
I mean, hey, for hyperactivity, dance.
Yeah, dance is like a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, it started really, really young, and then I did that for like X amount of years, and like shouts out to CCAT, who also was a bigger dance company in Winnipeg that I was essentially pipelined to be a part of.
Nice.
But then when I got older, at the same time though, mind you, I was also playing basketball. Like I was like the typical Filipino kid who would like play sports and do arts and whatever.
This is like high school years now?
Like middle school, junior high actually. This would be like junior high, so like 11, 12.
Is this Garden City era or what?
Close to the Garden City era. That's crazy. You remember that?
Jefferson and St. Clair.
Yeah. That's crazy. So basically, I met. It's just like I'm starting to feel like Troy Bolton here, but I like had a crossroad with like arts and sports.
Okay.
And so my dad was like, "Yo, I can't be giving you." Rides to 2 rehearsals a night, like dance rehearsal and then basketball after. He was like, yo, I can't do this. Like, you're doing too much, dude.
Wild.
Like, it's too crazy for him. And I understood that. And I was like, okay, well, tell me what should I do? Mm-hmm. And at that point there, I was like, you know what? I don't know what to do. And my dad was like, well, here's 2 things. I was like, can I be an artista, which is an artist? Mm-hmm. Like just whether if it was like dancing, singing, acting, whatever it is. Like at the time there was like dancing wasn't really like what it is today.
Yeah.
But at the time I was just kind of like, you can be like an artist or an actor and like whatever. And I loved music at the time too, so I've always wanted to do that. And my dad was like, or you can continue to play basketball and get a scholarship and then go to university. And at the time, obviously, like getting a scholarship, going to university was like something that is more attainable,
right?
Like you have a pathway for that. And so long story short, I was like, I think I'll just play basketball. So I actually stopped dancing. I actually stopped dancing from that point on, but my foundations were really there.
Dang.
Like the foundation that I started with was pretty deep. And so
how old were you when you stopped?
I think it was like 12.
Okay.
I think it was like 12. Yeah. And I think that, but from that, until I stopped dancing, I was already performing live. I was with different artists from in the city. I was competing. I was doing a lot already with dance for the short amount of time that I started with, and a lot of people in my city recognized me as like, hey, you were the little boy that was dancing on stage. And it's funny with these Teletubby costumes. That's another story in a sense, but my grandma used to own a cake shop, and we used to rent the costumes from there for our performances. Because we were so playful, we had different costumes on stage to like paint a story. So we were known for these like extravagant like different performances, and I was the little kid that would always be like out hip hopping these costumes.
Right.
So that was like where I would be. I would be like that person. And then I kind of was removed from that and played basketball for like until end of high school and college.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, I got injured playing basketball. And that's where my rehab was actually dance.
Oh, interesting.
And that became my like fix.
Okay, yeah.
So technically I would say that like I started really young, but professionally I probably started like a little bit older. Like I was a late bloomer, to be honest.
No, fair enough.
I was a super late bloomer for dance, and not a lot of people realize that I was like new to it, like coming back into the scene.
Would you say there's like an age threshold that people can get into dance professionally or no?
No, I don't think so. I think there's I think it definitely comes with like obviously your commitment level and seeing like how much you want to commit to it. It's definitely going to be harder when you're older, for sure. Yeah. Like there's going to be a lot of more sacrifices because like life comes with responsibilities, and I don't think there's a necessarily age of like to do it or not. There's definitely advantages to doing it starting it at younger age and versus like someone who's at an older age, but dance in general is a universal language that anyone can do it at any age.
Totally.
Like depending on how you see it, I think that I'll keep doing this until my knees can't move, but I still got my upper body.
I love that.
You know, like it's really easy to dance, like flat out. Like you just have to love and do it.
Man, my high school memory of that is one of my best friends in high school. His name is Rafael, another Filipino.
Classic.
Dude, the guy was such a good dancer. Again, we would spend almost every afternoon after school going home watching Urban Dance Camp.
Yeah.
Watching Keanu Mario, like OG videos.
Yes.
And it was so fun, man.
Yeah.
Those were the days. It was hilarious.
And dancing to me was like for me to like obviously be late bloomer into the game, like I truly like wanted to try. Like I really wanted to try. And I think like for the last 5-6 years, like I really like pat myself on the back for sticking it through this long. I feel like some of my friends actually stopped dancing because life just hits them pretty quick. Yeah, life's just life.
Yeah. True.
And so and I was just speaking to one of my closest friends, Mark. Shouts out to Mark Mance. He's one of my like best friends. We grew up dancing and playing basketball together. And so he was like, messaged me. He was like, dude, honestly, like the way that you have stuck it through, it's nice to see that other people are now seeing your talent. Right. Like at this day and age. It was great.
I find that so much with success, and we're still young, but anytime I talk to somebody older and ask them like, what's the secret to getting to that level of whatever they do, a lot of the time, the secret is perseverance. Yeah. And just you're going to get better if you just keep 100%. Trying. It's just natural. Yeah. But never giving up and keep going. Like that's all it is. And then do it for years. Yeah. And then look back and be like, damn.
It's so cliche to even like speak on that term because it's like, obviously, with experience, you get better. And obviously with experience, you're more exposed. And with experience, it's all about this experience. But like, for me, I think I kind of didn't care a lot about what like the outside noise was because I just knew that I loved to do it. Like that was like baseline. Like I never did it because I knew I was going to be successful or wanted to be in movies. I wanted to be in like, musicals or like I never really cared too much to get to that point. I just knew that dance was like something I could not let go of. Nice. Clearly, obviously, because I've already was playing sports high level. Right. And I still couldn't get away with it. Wow. Right? Yeah, so it's like at that point, I'm like, okay, something's here for me. And like to not get political out of it, basketball is very, very like political. Like if you ain't 6 feet, how far can you go? Exactly. A shirt like 5'6" Filipino guy coming into a university game, it's like, you're already at a disadvantage, right? And so dance in a kind of different lens was so inclusive. It didn't matter whether if you were short or tall. It didn't matter whether if you were like super buff or not. It didn't matter if you were like, as long as you could, do it. Yeah. You could do it. You're good. Exactly. And that's where it clicked for me. I was like, oh, I feel seen here now. That's amazing. Right? So I was like, this is really good for anyone, to say the least.
I'm gonna jump back and forth.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go over to sneakers real quick.
Hey.
What is your favorite all-time sneaker lineup story? Sneaker campout, sneaker lineup story.
There's a few. Damn. The one shoe that I actually slept overnight for with homies, and like had like a not like a tent, but we had like an umbrella with like lawn chairs.
Yep.
It was the Jordan 11s Columbia Blues, the holiday release of like 2011, I think, or 2011, 2010, I think.
The holidays are tough.
It was like
camp out for.
Yeah, so in the middle of winter
was an
with
outdoor
Winnipeg.
store?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, it was a mall. We had to line up outside a mall.
Oh my god.
And yeah, so anyways, that from my fondest memory of that was just being with my homies from high school.
Yeah.
And we're like, bro, we're gonna get. I still have a picture of like my bed at the time when I had the sneakers, but it was like one of the first times I really stayed overnight for
sure.
and camped out. And my mom was like, where the hell are you going? And I was like, I'm getting sneakers, Mom. Like, I want it. And that was like a super cool moment because that like one, I was working in the mall already at the time.
Nice.
Not in the sneaker industry, but like I was working in a different store.
Okay.
A retail store. It's called Blue Notes. Shouts out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I knew the security guards at this mall, and I was like, before my end of my shift the night of the sneaker release, which would be the next day. So my apologies. I was like, hey, what door do we line up at? Like, which door are we lining up the closest to the Champs that was available?
Yeah.
It's like door 6. It's like door 6 downstairs and by the bay. And I was like, bet. So then I told my friends, is like, hey, we're gonna go to this door at this time. Bring your blankets and bring your whatever. And it was, we got there super early, and we ended up camping overnight. Some of the guys at the front who were like a little bit more older, they were like taking care of the first like 10 people. They were like, oh, I'm going to grab a coffee from Tim's. Anybody want a coffee? Like,
Nice.
And I was like, I want, like, I was a high school kid. I was like, can I buy donuts for people? Like, we were just like taking care of each other, and we were just like taking shifts of like going into the car to warm up and like doing all of these things. Like, it was like pretty good.
Dude,
and
that sounds sick.
It was sick.
Is that how all Winnipeg lineups are? Because that ain't how the Toronto ones are.
No, at the time. I mean, at the time, yeah. Like
Different scene.
it was a different time.
Yeah.
Not even different scene, but it was a different place and time. Like
Different era.
God forbid that like anybody gets hurt, but like I was early enough in the industry to like at least understand like this is like a level of respect in the line, and like as long as you can like stay within like your close quarters, then it becomes like, there's no favoritism, there's no nothing. Like it didn't exist at the time. And then obviously we just got our pair because we were like fourth in line or some shit like that. But yeah, no, it was like super sweet. And then after that, I ended up not ever lining up ever again because I was like, it was so cool, it was great. But I was too tired, man.
Dude,
overnight,
it takes a toll on you.
I don't think I've ever done that again. I've done like the early mornings of like 6 a.m. to get like a pair of like Travis.
Of course, yeah.
But like that's about it.
Yeah.
And then I obviously stopped lining up in general because I started working for the industry.
And probably around that time was when raffles took off.
Yes,
too, right?
and then when raffles started taking off, and that became a little bit more controlled, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think at the height of the lineup, campout days, it was in Toronto at least. It was getting kind of messy. And everyone knew, like, in New York as well, everyone knew that there had to be a change. Like, there had to be something new to shake this up, because no matter what you did, like, it was just going to become unorderly in some fashion.
Yeah. What was your fondest memory of a lineup?
Fondest memory was we were in Scarborough, Britt and I, one time just driving. I think it was summer, actually, thankfully. And I got a message on my phone through like a Facebook group or something I was in at the time.
Classic.
And this wasn't even that long ago, actually, but I got a message saying, it wasn't a Facebook group, it was a Discord message. One of those sneaker groups on Discord.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, we just got word that 306 Jordan, the Jordan store on Yonge, is releasing Off-White Jordan 1, the blue lights, the University Blue. Unbelievable. And I look at Britt, and she looks at me, and I'm like,
"You're gonna go."
I'm like, if there's one shoe we have the chance to get, like, first come, first serve, it's this one. So and she was like, yeah, let's go get them. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I'm like, it's noon. They come out tomorrow at 10. And I'm like, if we go now, like,
It's guaranteed.
it's guaranteed, but we're dialed in. Like,
Yeah.
Like, we can't just, like, willy-nilly this. And she was like, do you seriously want to go? Like, are you sure? Like, we have class, like, all this shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, babe, you don't have to go. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you go, but I'm going. And so, and sure enough, she was like, no, like, I want to do it with you. Like, this sounds really fun. And so we went down.
Oh, God.
By the
Bless
time,
her soul.
I know.
Bless her soul.
Honestly. By the time we had gotten there, we were already maybe, I want to say 50th in line, 60th in line. And it was like 1 p.m.
Yeah.
The day before.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was the middle of the day in the summer. It's buzzing. Yeah. And everyone is like, okay, so what's the game plan? Like, we're here at 1 p.m. The shoes come out in 18 hours. Like, what's the game plan here? And security didn't, obviously, no one ever knows what's going on.
No one.
Security doesn't know what's going on. The employees don't know what's going on. They're just like, I don't know. Like, we'll see. And I'm like, what are we, like, are we just going to camp outside the whole night? Like, sure.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, sure. We convinced either mall security or someone to let us into the mall at night, like at like 10 p.m. after they closed, to sleep in the hallway.
Yeah.
And it was Britt and I, and to this day, I have a few homies that I met in line there, and it was a great time. There was hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I got my shoes, Britt got her shoes, and I will admit, we sold them right out the door.
Yeah.
We sold them right out the door. I told Bray, I was like, we can keep. I was like, I want to keep one pair. If we both get a pair, we're keeping one and we're selling one.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna flip for, it was like
however much they were at the time.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I think if you held them for a little bit, you could probably get like 2K or 2.5K for them dead stock. But somebody out the door at Jordan's store offered us $1,500 cash, and we were just like, okay, done. So that was that. $1,500 for 18 hours of work. We'll take it.
That's pretty good.
We'll take it.
It's funny. You remember? I actually remember one story. Actually, I got my first raffle win.
Nice.
It's funny, from Livestock.
Oh, okay, cool.
In 2015, and it was the Oxford Tan 350s. V1s.
Dang, that's a great
it was
one.
an Instagram raffle, to say the least, and that was my first ever win. I got a DM from Livestock. I was like, this is weird. Like, I don't know if this is legit or not. And they invoiced me, and then I was like, this is what it is to win. They're like, you buy it, and at the time I was like in high school, I didn't have money at the time. I was like, how do I pay this online? I didn't have a credit card. I was like, how do you? I was like, Mom, I need whatever it is.
You don't understand.
I don't even understand. Like, this is like, I just need like $250. Like, I need it. And so I like carded out, got it, and I was like skeptical at the same time too, because I've never won anything.
Right.
And this was at the time where like the raffles were not even like set on like how things go.
No, not at all.
And like, so what I found out was that like so when they got the Instagram winners, they post the winners online.
What?
Like they post like they tag the winners of each.
In like a new post?
In a new post.
Oh, okay.
So they like tag you and like, hey, you've won, and then check your DMs type shit. And there was a time I was like, whoa, that's weird. Like, I got notifications, and
interesting.
I got like 10 or 12 DMs right away asking to buy the shoe.
Nice.
Like, and I didn't know how it worked. Like, I remember there's one person from Detroit, Michigan, offered off the rip $1,500 USD for those. And I said, nah, I want to keep it. I was like fully like invested, and I was like, this is a scam. There's no way I can, like, people want it for this amount of money. I was just like, I'm a big fan of Ye, and I was like, I got this shoe, and the cool colorway, to say the least.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so I got it, and then that was like my first experience of getting a raffle win from Livestock.
That's epic.
And it's funny because like now, obviously I work for the company. I actually went back to my order history, and you can see like my first ever order online was that.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that was like a cool little screenshot to be like, yeah, this is what I got.
That's wild. Was that your like intro to sneakers? Was Yeezy or
no. I was always a Jordan fan growing up.
Okay.
Like my first ever basketball shoe was a Jordan 12 Taxi, and I was like 10 years old, 11 years old.
Yep.
I was always into sneakers, whether if it was like Jordans or not. Like I was always into it.
Yeah.
I was even wearing like Doc Martens when I was like a kid. Like my mom was like, she was like, I wouldn't say she's all about fashion, but she did like quality.
Okay.
So shouts out to her. And my dad loved uniform things.
Nice.
So like matching top and bottom, color coordinated.
Absolutely.
Like it was just like a combination of like my childhood.
Nice.
And they just introduced me to cool things. So my first ever like introduction was probably like basketball shoes.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
For
Functional.
sure.
Yeah.
100%.
And what's the rotation looking like right now?
Ooh. So I'll show you my Toronto location right now. My rotation is these Hokas that I got. Shouts out to Livestock for that.
Are those the GTX joints or whatever they're
I
called?
think so. The GTX with the
is it a Vibram sole or something?
yes, with the Vibram sole,
Yeah,
and it has
right.
like 3 different like laces on it: yellow, blue, and black, which is fire. And then I have my Clemens. I got my Clemens with me. I got a pair of just 993 New Balances, and then I got some Sambas. Those are my current Toronto location. Back home, it would be this same in addition to some Lost and Found Jordan 1s, to my Tom Sachs, the yellow ones, and then my Margiela replicas. Yeah, some Gats. So that's the rotation I have.
Nice.
Quite a bit, but I mean, it's also it's winter, so I wear
tough.
like one pair probably throughout the entire month.
Yeah.
Which would be these like Hokas that are like winterized.
Yeah.
So yeah. What about you? What's the rotation looking at?
Dude, I'm so off my sneaker game lately. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I have sneakers I want. I was actually looking with Britt like a week ago for her. I buy more shoes for her. To be honest with you, it's just more fun for me now.
Yeah.
All the shoes that I want are, first of all, they've been released years ago, and
For sure.
and so they're just too
It's always like
expensive
that.
on the resale. So right now I'm not rocking anything. I'm rocking, what do we got? Just like a pair of black Chelsea boots I rock all the time. I just got my first pair of Margiela Tabbies.
Yay!
The babouche
the boots.
joints. No.
Loafers.
I'll show you after the loafers.
Yeah, okay.
They're called the babouche, and they're like the flat, like very flat to the.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
like OG Japanese style.
Yeah.
Those are. I haven't even rocked
Like the
them yet.
workwear stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly. I haven't even rocked them, but I'll show you. They're
Sick.
They're so tight. What else? I'm trying to go through the Rolodex. Last summer I got a pair of Gucci Adidas Gazelles.
That was one thing. I have a plug right now for that. The purple and green colorway. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm trying to debate whether if I want it or not. So sorry. I
No.
didn't interrupt.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's like that collab. So good. The colors were unbelievable.
I also hate that like high fashion is going into like the sneaker because of how just enticing it is almost.
But you know what? I have to like give myself a bit of a litmus test because sometimes these high fashion brands do these collaborations and they're just lazy.
Yeah.
Like they're just like
You're right. They did it right though.
They did it right. The whole collection was insane. Like there was obviously a lot of decision making.
The campaign was sick. I remember going into the Gucci store, which I have no business being in, by the way. I went into the Gucci store during that like campaign was launched.
Yeah.
And I see the like full on tracksuit, bucket hat, like full on hip hop, like it Gucci.
Yep.
And I was like, respect.
Nice.
I was like, this is I see.
I see it.
Looked at the price. I was like, hell no. I was like, yeah, out of my tax bracket. I love it though. Out of the tax bracket.
That's hilarious. What else we got? I'm rocking the Solomon XT4s, the
Classic.
Art of the Automobile Arthur Carr collab.
Yep.
Love those joints. Got those last summer in line with my trip to Paris. Thought
Yeah.
it was perfect for that.
Yeah.
Man, there's not much else. Like the designer sneaker thing is so interesting to me because you have like Loewe on, which I actually like the colorways. I just think it's lazy. Like,
I didn't know they even had Loewe ons.
yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing. Shouts out.
It's just lazy. Like it's just like all they did was slap the Loewe logo on there and make it a different color, and that's the whole shoe. And it's like okay.
Was it like a cloud monster? Like what was the?
I think it might have been a cloud foam or something.
Yeah,
it was a thicker joint.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole designer thing, I'm a fan of obviously like, you know, collaboration first and foremost. But like, yeah, you're right. Sometimes they make it do a little lazy, but sometimes like even just like slapping on a logo on it kind of looks fire. Like I recently went into Stone Island. I didn't realize they did a Ghost Collection New Balance.
Yes.
I didn't know about that. That was recently.
That was under the radar for sure.
Super. And I like was there and I saw it and I was like, okay, a regular 993 with a Stone Island logo on the tongue actually works.
Yes.
I'm like, it was tasteful. It was very tasteful because the Ghost collection, obviously, it's like it's like very monochromatic. It's just one color. And it's super niche, obviously. But like, I was like, that works. It's not. It's kind of lazy, but it was very tasteful.
No, I think that's sick, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was watching an interview with Pharrell about one of his recent, actually right after he took the reins after Virgil.
Okay.
And his first collection was, he was talking about how the inspo for it was Canal Street knockoffs.
Yes.
And you see that more and more. A lot of brand, like even that Stone Island New Balance, like putting a Stone Island badge on the tongue of a New Balance, looks so Canal Street. Like
it like looks like too good to be true. To be honest,
you're like rolling your eyes at it, but it's a real thing.
It's
a real thing.
I'm things like that I didn't even know, and like now I guess we're getting older. We have a little bit of adult money, and we're kind of just like, it's a little enticing to be like investing into these like designer things. I'm like, fuck, I should not.
Seriously,
I'm just gonna stay away, and I'm just gonna leave it as it is. But man, I'm so close to pulling a trigger. To be able to like buy something like that. It's like, oh, I want it.
I told Britt, I said, we can't get married until I have.
Which, by the way, we should probably talk about that too.
we can't get married until I have enough money to buy Louis Vuitton Air Force Ones for the reception. That's it.
I didn't even think about that because, like, I was like, maybe I want to buy some like shoes for the groomsmen type shit, like even like matching things. But yeah, Louis Vuitton Air Force Ones.
Reception for ceremony, for pictures after the ceremony. For me, I want probably like Yves Saint Laurent Chelsea boots, like my top dress shoe that I own, or dress boot. But reception, who cares? I'm going off. Changing the watch and changing the shoes. For the
I'm the same. I think my like ceremony dress shoes will probably be. That's a good question. I think I want to do some sort of like like a tabby actually. I think I might do some sort of tabby, like
tabby loafer.
Yeah, like a tabby loafer. I think. Because one, obviously my partner, she loves Japan, and so like it kind of hones in everything. And then reception. Now I'm thinking about an LV Air Force One.
Dude, the gold and brown joints, those are my favorite ones from the collection.
I would probably. Oh, you're making me think now. It's spiraling. You're like,
exactly.
Yeah, that's probably. I might have to make a move for that.
And I think the prices might settle down a bit.
Like I was just gonna say, it's getting cheaper.
They are. 100%.
They're getting cheaper and cheaper. Like I mean, like not cheap, but like from the height of where it was before, it's significantly gone down.
Yeah, it was like Sotheby's.
Oh, 100%. Oh my, you think about that and you're just like, hell no. Like I ain't got that money to blow, but it is.
We got time.
And then the watch. What's your watch of your ceremony? What do you want?
I might change it 3 times that day, to be honest with you. Ceremony. I don't think I own any of these 3, or thinking about what I would wear.
You don't
I don't yet own them.
Yeah.
It's so tough. Ceremony will probably be Cartier.
Yep.
I'll probably go for a sports watch for the reception. Probably. In a perfect world, it would be either AP, a Royal Oak, or might go vintage. Might go like vintage GMT. Like a vintage root beer. GMT. Or even just like a. You know what I honestly love is I love a Speedmaster.
Ooh,
on a leather
love
strap.
The Omegas. Omegas with the leather.
On a leather for a wedding, you know what I mean.
But like a vintage one though.
Probably vintage. Some patina on the dial.
Yeah,
something like that. That would be the go-to.
That's I think I'm in the same range. I definitely want a Cartier for at least for my ceremony.
Yeah.
I think I want a leather band for that. So probably like your tank that you have already here.
Yeah.
Which by the way is beautiful. Is that automatic or is that quartz?
This is actually quartz. It's the Tank Solo, size large quartz. Dude, this is my t-shirt and jeans.
I love that. And you see the things that would be also like kind of like my ceremony one too. I would just like something I'm the most comfortable in. Absolutely. Right? Because obviously it means a lot, obviously. So for that, I'll probably do that. And then reception, I still like my like day dates and like two tones. I still want that. And I will I want a smaller face. I don't have a big wrist. So like having a smaller like face women's watch is like what I would love.
Ideal.
Ideal for sure. And I recently just there was this what is her Instagram? Noah Shop?
Yep.
Right? She's based out of the United States,
Yep.
but she had like this full gold women's round dialed Cartier watch.
No, Noma Shop, I think.
Is it Noah Shop?
Noma, I think.
No, her name's Noah.
Oh, is it?
Like Noah. I'm about to put you on then.
Put me on.
Shouts out. She like sells luxury jewelry on her online shop and
Secondhand?
secondhand.
Yeah,
All of
yeah.
it's secondhand, and like I'm always like keeping up to date with her
yeah,
like
put me on
inventory. And so yeah, I'll definitely put you on. Oh my god, we'll be so bad. Oh my,
Tight,
our
dude.
tax by the end of the year is gonna be so crazy. But she had this gold, and I didn't realize it existed. This women's gold watch. It's Cartier, and it was a round dial, and it had a chain link wrist bracelet, and it was like full like I think it was like 18 karat or 14 karat gold all the way through, and I was like, yo, that was kind of pretty fire. And it's a really small, thin watch. And I'm like,
Is it perfectly circular, the dial? Or is
yeah,
it
it's perfectly
like
circular.
oval?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's perfectly circular. And then it it literally just sold. She just recently just sold it too. And I
Damn.
just like saw it and I was like, that looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
It was yellow gold. Yeah.
It was yellow gold. Like I'm a fan of yellow gold, so I love yellow gold. So that
Nice.
would have been like my like party thing.
Oh,
And I'm
that's
not big into like the partying thing, but like that would be a sweet gift. Yeah.
Man, that's tight.
Yeah. I gotta put you on.
100%.
Yeah.
Let's stay on this fashion train real
Yeah.
quick. Tell me about Kiss Your Homies Goodnight.
Oh, shout out. Okay, so Kiss Your Homies Goodnight. Okay, so it started off as my friends back home in Winnipeg. Shouts out to New Bounce. They're like a DJ collective that now has been like taking the storm through Calgary and Montreal. And my friends there, we streamed a lot on Twitch.
Oh, really?
During the pandemic. And
What were you streaming?
I was streaming video games.
Okay.
I was playing a lot of like first-person shooters, whether it was like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex, whatever it was. Like I was into it. I'm a gamer at heart. And I loved it. And so for people to come and watch and like play with, I was like, this is fire. So yeah, we started streaming, and then my DJ friends also started to stream as well too. So every Friday night, I think it was, from what I remember, we would go on a Discord call and we would share our screens. And one of our friends in the middle would be DJing, like
Nice.
as we were like,
That's
just
sick.
partying on stream. And we would end the night with, hey, don't forget to kiss your homies.
Nice.
And so like that kiss your homie thing became like a thing we just always said. And so it kind of just like only came from the group chat to like, and I obviously years after COVID, we were just like, I was like, down in like inspiration creatively. And like I kept saying like love you to people just like randomly, just like, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like a pretty cool like thing to like talk about. How do I was like, I wanted to make something tangible for people to like, have and wear. And I was just had this creative itch. And so anyways, I like told my homies, I was like, hey, like, would it be cool if I like use our slogan that we keep saying at night, like on a shirt? And then it's like a kiss a homie. And they were like, yeah, I'll be sick.
Tight.
So I made that. And then the good night part was just kind of like I just needed like a sentence that like made it kind of like in context.
Complete. Yeah.
To complete.
Yeah.
And then at the time, obviously, I should have done my research. But at the time, I was like, oh, that sounds really cute. That's like kiss your homies goodnight. Because the real thing about that kiss a homie is, one, it's like 2025, so everyone's a little gay sometimes. Everyone shows a little love anywhere. But you kind of can't forget where you come from. And like, show love to the people that were around you and with you the whole time. So by showing a little love, you give them a little kiss, right?
Love that.
You're like, and you know what? I should have done my research and I apologize if anyone sees this, but I didn't know that kiss a homie's good night was already a thing.
Oh, really?
I like that's why I haven't made anything, quote unquote, like another launch, because I actually didn't know that there was like another brand who like kind of had that same look on it, and I
also clothing.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, and a friend of mine like screenshot. I was like, hey, is this you? And I was like, no, I've only made this one thing.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing I could take credit on is just saying like love you in the front. And the message of that is that like I just randomly say love you to people, even like on their way out, because you never know if they've like ever had love or experienced love or
Absolutely.
said. So I just, out of the kindness of my heart, I just want to spread it. And I didn't know that like that was a thing. And I was like, darn. So if you like Google kiss a homie goodnight, it's like actually already everywhere in like Europe.
Oh shit.
And I was like, obviously like we're not exposed to that like, type of language.
Of course, yeah.
And like it was already, I think you know this brand. I'm pretty sure it was like Nude Project.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have something like that. Not to endorse them, sorry, about like, And I think a friend of mine like saw it on the ad, and I was
it might have been one of their early designs.
Probably, and I should have done my research before jumping the gun out of it, because I found the font that I used for it, because I'm a sucker for typography.
Oh yeah.
And so like I was doing my due diligence and like trying to find my research and like what like which speaks to me the most, like, right? And like I couldn't do like a script because it was too formal. I couldn't do like a Helvetica because it was too rigid.
Yeah,
it was too boxy.
Yeah.
And then I came across this like really playful, like groovy font typeface that I was like, oh, this is like actually like this is really good.
Yep.
And I did a couple testers of like my kerning and my spacing, and I was doing some testers, and I was like, this actually like kind of like represents how I felt. And so I did that, and then again, like obviously inspiration comes from everywhere, and I should have done my due diligence in that way. But anyways, it was already used, and I was like, shit. But the message behind it was essentially, you don't forget where your homies come from.
Absolutely.
And you always got to show some love. And I will always go back to that. I will forever like kiss my homies goodnight, to say the least.
Man, I think I say I love you to almost every one of my best friends, dude. Like, same thing. Anytime I say goodbye to them, I'm always saying love you.
Yeah, and I do that to random people, especially like if I'm at a restaurant, and we finish with the bill.
Dude, absolutely.
They'll like leave it. All right, okay, thank you, love you.
Yeah,
so casual, and we'll come away. And I actually get that from my mom, because my mom says that.
Yes.
For fun.
Yes.
And like, she's like, okay, love you, and they like leave, And I'd be like, hold on, wait, what do you mean by that? And it'll be like an ongoing joke with like my mom doing some random shit. But
that's
I
fun,
know.
dude.
But I wish I could take full credit with that thing, but I don't. And I should have done my due diligence with Kiss Your Homies Goodnight. But that's where it came from for me. That's where it came from. And
nice.
I want to continue to make more cool stuff like that.
So it stopped at you getting some t-shirts printed for the homies. And
t-shirts. And I actually got samples of like, I actually got a line of, I had a hoodie, 2 hoodies. So a zip up and a pullover. And then I got 2 different versions of a white t-shirt. One with green writing, one with pink writing, and then I had a brown shirt with pink writing.
Okay.
So I had a full line sampled, ready to go, that I basically have like kind of did. And then that came out, and I was like, like I don't want to come off as like, like I'm taking someone else's work, and I was like, oh no. So
it's tough.
Right now, I'm just in the middle of like a identity crisis at this point. Like, obviously, want to be able to make merch and be able to like catch the wave of this like fashion, but it's tough. It's tough to do it. And then obviously being somebody who's always inspired, there's a limit.
Yeah. To
be able to like use those inspirations for your sake of work.
You gotta pick and choose also.
You gotta pick and choose, man. And like I sometimes like you do things that you're not aware of. Right? Like you're just completely unaware that this actually is already a thing.
Oh yeah.
And like ignorance is a bliss. And sometimes, and then obviously for me, like I'm gonna own up to it for sure. Like if they ever gave me like a cease and desist, I'd be like, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's on me.
That's on me. My bad. Like, I should have done my research. Totally my bad.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was a learning curve, and I just learned to just like own up to it a bit. You know what? It's cool. Not for me. Maybe in the future we might figure out some inspiration.
I was gonna say, did that excite you? Like, can you see yourself doing something in the fashion space, like your own brand, your own project again?
Yeah, but like not.
What would that look like for you?
Good question. That's $1 million question. That's $1 million question right there. Because if I had no budget, right, I'd be making like campaigns left and right of not only tangible clothing, but like home stuff.
Goods.
Yeah, like goods that you can use on an everyday basis.
Yep.
Like whether if it was like jewelry or even like coffee mug or even like a water bottle or like a pin, to say the least. Like And then what I would actually be spending that budget on was the campaign itself. Short-term content, long-term content, like making short movies, maybe some dance concepts, like make it a whole wholesome thing, not just selling merch and I took a photo of like a white background and just like whatever, which what I did. But yeah, I would probably lean into more of like that creative directed side, which everyone's a creative director. But I would love to even do that and get people paid.
Dude, that's how brands like before they even realized they were doing it. That's how brands like Supreme and Stussy popped off. Like you're looking at a brand that was just making printed designs on 100%. Blanks basically back in the day in the 90s and
even the hundreds.
All these brands. All it was the storytelling. It was the culture, right? Like it was like you wore this, and what does that signify, right? Based on what the brands are putting out for imagery, who's wearing it, all the shit, and the actual product was secondary.
And so with the Kiss of Homies Goodnight, like when I had all my stuff here in Toronto, a lot of my dancer friends, I just like gave it to them because I was like, hey, can you just like wear it and like take a photo and like just like do it? And a lot of people kept asking for it. Like I have people in my DM still to this day. It's like, hey, when's the next drop coming? When's the next drop coming? And I was like, I didn't feel
just wait.
I just wait. I also didn't feel comfortable like making the exact same one. And be able to just say it's mine. I was like, I couldn't. It's like my heart just couldn't.
No, fair enough.
Couldn't say that, right? So, but yeah, no, for sure, the storytelling is definitely like one thing I would want to do, like for my next project, whatever it is. Like I want it to be like I want it to be able to like be one, a story in itself, and two, my share of the side.
I hear that totally. Back to dance real quick. What is like I don't know anything about dance. I love dance and I respect it so much.
Hell yeah.
Britt grew up a dancer. What is the hardest and the easiest thing about dance?
Fuck. Okay, the hardest thing about dance is staying healthy. As a professional, we use our body to its brim. Like we are like literally a walking, we're literally like a physical walking injury machine. It's like an athlete. We're athletes here, right? Our bodies are temple. We're like the hardest thing we can do about ourselves is injure. And so taking care of that body is probably the hardest thing about being a professional dancer. Like that's like probably the like very cliche answer, but that's coming to the top of my mind because right now I'm kind of experiencing that, dancing 8 to 9 hours a day. And it's like, we're athletes to say the least. And like, we have to be able to recover and like, be safe with what we do. So that's like knowing that and being able to like keep up with our health is like very hard to me. Easiest the easiest thing as a dancer is probably just to, it's probably hard for some people. For me, I think the easiest is just like being able to be open to whatever class or someone learning dance from.
Right.
Yeah, it's just being able to just like learning from someone but have no like expectations. To me, that's pretty easy for me to do. And I think that's like pretty, I don't know. That's like how I feel as a professional. That's the first thing you can do is walk into a room and just be like grateful and open to be in that room. That's the easiest thing to do.
So I was gonna ask actually, what is your current split between being a choreographer versus actually being just a dancer and somebody else choreographer?
I mean, like you can be. It's like also the same conversation as like being a student and being an instructor, right? So I'm always a student. I'm always gonna be a student. So I'm a dancer first before I'm a choreographer. So because if I can't do my own stuff, how do I teach it?
Exactly.
Right. So. The split will come into like my mental creativity and my physical capabilities. So those are like kind of the things that I kind of juggle between. I can think about something that's super cool, but if I can't physically do it, it's like what makes me, have any right to share that? I can't.
Totally.
I can attempt to do it, but like if it doesn't sit right, I can't teach it. It's like that's gonna be very hard.
It's not authentic.
It's not authentic. Yeah. So choreographers, obviously, they share a side of creativity to it, but also share a leader type of leadership. And so, as a choreographer, you want to be able to translate what is going on with your brain, to someone else that has no idea what you're talking about. So that language has to be able to be, understandable and digestible to the students. So in terms of that, like choreographers have this like duality of like not only being a dancer, but being some sort of like leader to be able to like share this creativeness to them. And then as a dancer, you just kind of stay open. Like you can dance, right? Like you can do this. The one thing you just should be able to do is accept what's being shared with you.
Right.
And like obviously take it for what it is. Like you don't have to be that open, and like you can stick to your own like resume. But like if you can't digest this particular information one ear and then like kind of process it and then share it with how you interpret it, like it's gonna be hard to become a dancer, to be honest. So that's hopefully that answers it.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm thinking selfishly a question like, as somebody that does not dance, if you were a beginner, just starting out, just trying this out for the first time, one of the things that I would imagine is an obvious hurdle to get over would be just the confidence to move your body in ways that are not normal everyday movements, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that like, would you say that's true?
100%. Beginner classes are really important. I take beginner classes to this day. Like don't get me wrong. Like I love beginner classes.
Fundamentals.
Sometimes they're harder than my advanced courses.
Sure.
Because like they're just, they're all about foundations and sometimes you forget about them.
Right.
But the thing is as a beginner dancer is to understand your body awareness and be able to like see what your body is capable of doing. And I think that like with every beginner, they don't understand that. Like they don't understand that their body can do more than what they can do on a daily basis.
Wow.
So walking into a room full of people who can dance and you have no idea how to dance, it kind of gets scary. And so that confidence starts to dwindle away.
Right.
And so our job as like, instructors who do beginner classes is to get us out of that shell. We could teach you moves left and right, whatever. Like that's like simple instructions to do, but you got to be able to know how your body is and how it responds in the space that you're in. And so it's being open to that body awareness is like really it's really crucial in a beginner class. Okay. Especially someone who wants to like get into it like right away and be like, I want to do like these TikTok dances. Like, sure, you can do those TikTok dances. Yeah. It's pretty easy to do, but like, how do you want it to look like a dancer? Do you want to look like a dancer or do you want to just like do the dance? Right?
Completely.
There's lots of ways to like get into that headspace of confidence because confidence will come with repetition, but like I think there's a level of like foundational understanding of your body to be able to get to that level first.
I hear.
Yeah. So
totally.
I mean, as the easy answer is like just walking into the room is probably one of the hardest things to get into a beginner class. Okay. Because like if you're already there, like you're already halfway there mentally because you went to the class
completely,
and you're like, okay, now I just want to learn.
Any kind of beginner environment is I think so crucial because it's a safe space, or it should be.
Yes, no, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Any beginners are very who go into any space is vulnerable, super vulnerable, and it's like it's important for anybody who's leading anything, any class, any setting of any beginners to understand that we have to open up the space to anyone and have it be safe for anybody to be in there.
Totally.
So because you're allowed to fail, you're allowed to like be vulnerable,
look silly.
You're allowed to look silly. You're allowed to feel stiff. You're allowed to feel like too flexible. You know, like all of these feelings, they're allowed to be in the space.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I saw that you were a runner at one point. You did a little Seaweeds 2018 run.
Yeah. Okay. So long story short, my retail history is I was a Lululemon educator for like 6 years.
Dude, I was a Lululemon educator.
Yeah. So dude. Yeah. Okay. So you understand, like it's like one of culture. It's for the culture, little culty, but I loved it. I was invested. I loved working there, and it actually made me the person who I am today. Like I want to be able to talk to you one-on-one
I say that all the time.
Without having the skills that I built from as educator and like the basic communication and just like people being a people person.
Probing.
Yes. Open-ended questions. Like I wouldn't be able to like even have this conversation with you if it wasn't for that. So Shouts out Lululemon, like, yeah.
Dude, I actually tell everyone that I know in my life that's in their teenage or young 20-year-old years, I tell them, like, if you get any job, get a good retail job.
Yes.
One that gives you proper training.
100%.
Because, like, I worked at Apple and Lulu and all this shit.
Yeah.
The transferable skills that I use every single day have changed my life.
Yeah, and so that Lululemon like career, like I was like really invested. Like I wanted a pipeline dream to go up.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to do all these things. So anyway, yeah, I went to Seaweeds like 2-3 years in a row because I was like invested into being able to like, I wanted to do this. I wouldn't say I was a runner. Like I wouldn't say I ran Seaweeds because I didn't. I worked Seaweeds and I wanted to be a part of like what that event was.
Yep.
And that was the pinnacle of like as an educator or in the business, like working that event was like, yo, you made it.
Oh yeah.
Like you're there at the seawall, you know, you're there with like your educator friends sometimes, and then you go to like the office tour, you go in like West 4th and you're like, oh my God, I'm in the office. Like this is crazy in Vancouver.
Yep.
So like, yeah, I when I worked there, I was like, you know, living the dream. I was like trying to get as fit as possible. I tried to run, man. My knees wouldn't work.
Facts.
I loved yoga though. When I discovered the whole breathing technique thing,
Dude, to this day,
I still do it. Like I didn't realize I couldn't like hold my breath for that long or even inhale or exhale for that long. You know, having shortness of breath was like kind of something I always had, but I was like an athlete at one point.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was sucky. I sucked at it. Like I would be in a beginner like yin class and then I would be on my back and then I was like, all right, so inhale for 4, hold for 4 and exhale for 4. I was inhaling for like 1 second. I was blowing out for like another second and I was inhaling for 1 second. So 3 seconds. I sucked at it.
And what era was this that you worked at Lulu?
Yeah, I feel like I wear multiple hats right now. I feel like you're getting the whole like spiel. This era was my it was my transition from dance to livestock. So this was while I was in university, playing basketball. Pre-pandemic. Oh yeah, 2019. Yeah,
I worked at Lulu same time.
Yeah, so like pre-pandemic and a little bit through pandemic actually. Okay. So I was actually, just to get the timeline right, during the pandemic, they offered like whether or not you get this the CERB or your payout.
Yep.
Right. Remember that there was a time where like you could, but you'd have to be employed to get the benefits, or you have to be unemployed to get CERB.
Exactly.
That was like the contingency.
But you couldn't have quit. You would have had to gotten laid off or fired.
Well,
wasn't that part of the?
I don't know. I think it was quit. You had to quit.
Oh, okay. I thought it was that you had.
Or
to
I don't know. At some point they actually made us choose.
Like Lulu.
Okay. Yeah. Lulu was like, okay, you could stay on board and get our rate, or your hourly rate biweekly as a full timer, or you get the CERB. And at that time, I think my hourly rate was high, but it wasn't like as high because, you know, obviously with Lulu, you get like your performance increase of like your wage based on like obviously how you did throughout the years that you worked there. At that time, it didn't compare to CERB. I don't know if that's like enough information, but like I ended up quitting that for however long, and then I got brought back when CERB was over. Nice. And then so that was basically like what happened. I started to like come back to Lulu, and then it was just different. The pandemic really kind of messed up the retail experience for me. Yeah. Because like it just like wasn't authentic anymore. Totally. It was super weird, and I think it was like I didn't want to be around people anymore after like being so far away from everyone.
It's a chapter, but I will say every time I go into a Lulu now, I'm like, damn, this looks fun.
I even to this day I go to other Lululemons all the time and just observe.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I just like I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, man. I was living the dream. That Sweaty Pursuit card.
The Sweaty Pursuit, dude.
Fire.
Sweaty Pursuits was like basically a monthly stipend that you got.
100%
on a gift card that you could use towards any Sweaty. or active
gym,
venture,
anything, any
gym.
ventures of some sort that
Yoga
involves
class.
health and fitness, like you got paid for. That was a benefit. And I was like, hold on, I don't have to spend extra money for my health. That
sweet.
blew my mind.
Yes.
Like I was like, why don't all workplaces do this?
I hope they still do it.
They still do it. I have a friend who just recently got hired for the holidays, and they still do that. The amount's a little bit different, but they still do it till this day, and which is awesome, and I love it. So shouts out to Lululemon for sure.
Yeah, Lulu. Yeah.
Yeah.
OG.
Yeah.
Built us to who we are today.
Yeah. They built us who we are today. And like the one thing I can remember about being Lulu is learning how to write an email properly.
Interesting.
Yeah. I never knew how to like.
You were doing that in-house for Lulu, or you mean like
just like in general, like how to like communicate to your bosses, because like everything had to be like written down, or like had a paper trail. So like being able to learn how to like, you know, write a formal email to like my boss saying like I wanted this time off or whatever it is, like that was one skill I was like, yo, this is kind of important. And so I was able to like navigate through that. And it, till this day, now I'm like emailing my agents, different productions, different like, you know, business owners. Like I'm able to like learn how to like write that because of Lululemon.
Wow, epic.
So epic. Yeah.
One of my takeaways that I think about all the time is simply how to approach people.
Yeah.
And we got taught so much about how to approach somebody when they walk into a store. The normal reaction in most stores is to ask if you can help them with anything.
100%.
But Lulu taught you that is most likely just going to shut down the conversation and make it much more into a robotic transaction.
Because it's not an open-ended question.
Exactly, yeah. So not only did they teach you how to ask open-ended questions, but they also taught you how to just start conversations out of thin air.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty, and I had a tough time because we were like much younger.
Yeah.
I had a tough time getting a grasp of that. But once I did, it was like, whoa, this is a gateway to like all different facets of life, different jobs, social circles, relationships, all this stuff changed.
There's like a lot of like obviously prompt questions that they gave us to like really to kind of start these conversations.
100%.
Depending on obviously the situation in a whole. But same thing. Like I thought I was comfortable with people, but I realized I was only comfortable with my people and outgoing with my people. But when it comes to strangers, I was like a brick wall. Like I had no idea how to approach you. So you can imagine like me going into a place where it's so inviting and so like open that like I didn't know how to navigate through that. So shouts out to Lululemon for giving us the tools and training to be able to like, you know, kind of not only decipher like how to approach a first, you know, a person you've never met before, but also to be able to like carry that over and being able to now build this relationship throughout the entire journey. Because, you know, we're all about the journey.
Customer
journey, you know, in as a dofi, going in through the whatever pants, change room, then you go to the check, they're going to Fits.
I ran Fits.
I ran it too.
I ran Fits. It was the best.
And it was great because actually at the time, I remember there was, when I first started, there was not a lot of guys who worked at Lulu.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate enough to be able to like be one of the few people who could like, you know, be open to even just like working at Lulu.
Yeah.
I feel like there was like a stigma.
There was
like,
a bit of a stigma.
Way back in the day when like, whoa, dude, you work at a Lululemon store? It was like, like
now men's Lulu is probably outperforming women's. You know,
yes, like their R&D is crazy with the men's stuff.
Yeah.
So at the time when I was like running Fits, right, it's like how open can you be? You know, obviously, you know, working in a female dominant industry, like how do you navigate through that and like being able to just be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to these things. Like, like you start to like realize like, oh man, like they really prepared you for any type of situation that you were put in. So yeah, Fits ran that. It was like I knew I was like, you got how many? Boom, skitty name.
Exactly.
Next number name. Yeah. How you doing? You know, that's like got you. You know, and we're like doing all of these like
cool quick hem. I got you.
You got a quick hem. All right. So have you stand over there? I'm just gonna have you wait for 1 second. Boom. You're like another place. You wanted this size. Boom. 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 Didn't work out. I'm so sorry, but no worries. You can get you whatever.
Absolutely.
It's great. It was
so
great.
Good. I got 2 more questions for you real quick. Number 1 is what's one like quote or concept or idea that you're currently thinking about all the time?
Ooh, I got 2 for you. One is say yes until you can. Essentially means that you can say yes to almost everything. You can deal with the consequences like later. In a way where it's like almost like this is me and like my scheduling stuff. I tend to say yes to a lot of things and realizing, oh my God, or I just overbooked myself. But you roll with the punches and you can somehow figure it out. With a deeper kind of understanding is that then you start to prioritize what's more important or not. So that's say yes until you can. And then a second is learning how to let go of things quicker. I think that's my 2025. I tend to, especially in my industry, we get a lot of no's. I tend to hold on to a lot of no's and like people's opinions too long. So right now I'm learning how to practice to let go quicker, to be able to just like, let go of whatever that was quicker to invite more things in quicker as well.
I love that.
So yeah, it's like kind of like my two little things, because it literally just happened in the last 2 weeks. I felt like my last 2 weeks of the first 2 weeks of 2025 has been a roller coaster. And I have to share that when you're after your next question. But yeah.
I was going to ask, last question is, what's next for you?
Oh.
And where can people find you?
Okay. What's next for me is right now I'm in the middle of set. I don't know how much I can say, but I can say that it involves A-list artists. They're wonderful people. You may have heard of them, the Jonas Brothers.
That's incredible.
They're in town, so I'm in currently on set with them.
Wow.
For their next film, and again, what I'm mentioning, my last 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of 2025 became probably the most impactful, influential weeks of my life, actually.
Man, that's epic.
So long story short, I'm like yapping. I'm a certified yapper. I'm so sorry.
No.
But long story short, I was already in Toronto in early December for a different project that I happened to got noticed from that audition and got invited back to come here early January, the 3rd actually, to audition for an unknown film that was like gonna happen in this time. And so I basically have gotten a chance to audition. But the thing was, I planned a trip with my parents to go to the Philippines 6 months ago.
Tough.
And so not only that there are 3 things that were happening here, there was one, I was going on a beautiful trip with my parents on the 11th, which was last Saturday. 2, there was an audition that could have been a film that would happen for 2 months, which is now. And 3, there was a musical that was going to be happening next year that they're currently preparing for. So all of these things were happening in the last 2 weeks.
That's tough.
And like I'm a firm believer all things happen for a reason. And so you could imagine how stressed I was because I only booked the one way here. And I
manifested.
I like, and again, I'm proud of myself because I didn't want to look for a flight back home yet. I didn't want that energy to be around me at that point because I was like, I really want to I want to see this through.
Yep.
So audition happened Saturday, which was maybe the 4th, and then they were like rehearsals first thing Monday, which is the 6th. So like technically the time frame would have been like the next day. I should have known. It took them 2 additional days to figure out. So I found out that I ended up getting this lovely project and casted for this project 24 hours before the first rehearsal.
Wow.
And so that basically became clear of what my next steps were. One, obviously, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go with my parents to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Because I would be like, I told my parents that, and they were awesomely supportive about it. Nice. I was a little bit worried that they were upset because
did they go?
They went. Oh
okay,
yeah,
good,
they still went. I just lost my ticket. Yeah. Basically, like I couldn't get really a full refund. I paid like a little bit and like whatever. It's a loss.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah, it's the cost of doing business, and but then again, I was also open. This is again why I want to let go quicker because that time I was like, I'm okay with not getting this project because I would have ended up on a beautiful vacation with my parents.
Totally.
That's like in hindsight, like I still would have loved to go with them, and I'm like 5 years due to go on a trip with them because I've been here for majority of the time.
So either one would have
went. Yeah. So where you can find me is on the big screens coming up. I hope it's going to be at the end of this year or even early next year. You know how film works. And then I will be in Toronto for majority of the time here for the whole month. And you can find me on my socials at JAAYELM on Insta and TikTok. And that's where you'll find me.
Dude, Jayel, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Yo, Josh,
Appreciate you
thank you. I appreciate you. Honestly, you reaching out to do this, I was quite shocked. I was like, wow, this is like manifesting a lot of things. Like,
I mean, especially when you said that you were in town. I said,
yeah,
we have to do it now.
Yeah, we have to do now. Catch me when you catch me, and like, and I love also coming here. And it was always nice catching up with you. Almost every time I run into you, it's like, it's serendipitous. Like, you know, we're meant to be there at that moment and catch up and link up for whatever you have to do. And so, thank you.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah.
And thank you to the viewers for listening to episode 3 of The Ground Up. We'll see you next time.
Woo!